Nerd Box.
Welcome to another episode of the Popcorn Confessional, where my wife and we bring you to the theaters with us. Well, sort of. After we go to the movies, we're going to review those films with you. And something that we've been doing for 5 or 6 years, weekly, at least once. Sometimes it's 3 times a week, sometimes it's more. And today's episode, what we're going to review is Separation, which is about a father's struggle to become a responsible adult after his wife's death and keep custody of his daughter while an evil entity slowly tries to break them apart.
Separation is directed by William Brent Bell, who's known for The Boy, Boy 2, The Devil Inside, and Stay Alive. It stars Robert Friend and Mamie Gummer as the parents, and then Violet Shaw plays their daughter Jenny, and Brian Cox plays Maggie, the mother's father.
I think Mamie's a cool name. I just want to yell it out. Mamie!
I think her name's actually Mary, but Mamie's like her nickname, but it's what she goes by.
All right. More to come on this one right after the intro. Jeff has fallen into a rut after losing his job at a puppet theater show that was based on a comic book series that he created called The Grizzly Kin. Now, he's been unemployed for 3 years and a stay-at-home dad with an assistant that watches Jenny while he tries to relaunch his career while his wife works at her father's company.
Only Jeff and the babysitter spend more time watching cartoons, getting high, and reminiscing over his past illustrations, often leaving Jenny to entertain herself. Yeah, no. One day, an unattended Jenny climbs the rafters of her attic and falls off. Big shocker. Cutting her head open just as Maggie comes home. This was the last straw in their relationship, and Maggie files for divorce and begins a heated custody battle where she essentially offers to buy her daughter from Jeff with the condition that she's moving across the country to start over and get away from him.
Now, tragedy strikes, and the mother is tragically killed in a hit and run.
Soon after his wife's death, Jeff has to contend with finding work, battling his father-in-law in court for custody, while battling with an evil presence that slowly reveals themselves to father and daughter in their dreams and their illustrations before becoming violent and attacking anyone who enters the home.
This movie covers a lot. There's a lot of themes that are running in there. So we have a ghost story, and we have some drama with a child custody battle. What was your thoughts while watching this one?
While it covers a lot, I feel like it doesn't cover enough.
How so?
I feel like they don't explain a lot of things that should be explained. Like the fact that the custody battle turned horribly ugly so quick.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know where that came from.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, they show a lot of flashbacks where the family's super happy, and then you can kind of see where it breaks apart slightly, you know, because of Jeff not working and, you know, the wife has to go back to work. But, I mean, it just got so ugly. Like, all of a sudden,
really
she
quick.
was like,
it felt like a week.
Yeah, basically, she hates him now, and she's trying to take the daughter away from him, and she literally tells him that she is my daughter, and you'll never see her again. And it's like, what?
Yeah. I thought it was kind of weird, like, I'm going to buy my daughter, and I'm going across the country.
Yeah. It came out of nowhere. And I believe that does happen in custody situations, but I think that there's like always a lot more hatred in the relationship. So whatever the hatred was in this one, you don't see it.
Yeah.
They just jump into it.
Yeah. So, like you mentioned, just there's a lot of things that could have been told, and this movie really, I don't know if you've caught it, seemed to be like a mixed bag of jigsaw puzzles. Not just one, but multiple. Because they pulled a little piece from here and there, from all these different stories. For one, the movie was influenced by Kramer versus Kramer. So somebody at the studio is like, hey, I know what would make a good ghost story. Let's make Kramer versus Kramer into a horror movie.
Yeah.
Which, for parents, that I have to experience that situation is horrible enough, so now we're just going to add ghost in it too.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a lot of things that I was picking up on that I just saw already in other movies. Like, did you pick up the whole Mrs. Doubtfire kind of in the beginning thing?
Yeah.
It's like, that's a distraction for me. Like, when I'm watching a movie, it's okay they pay homage to another film. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I think of that vampire movie. What was it again? Underworld. In the train station in part 1, you hear that wolf in the train station coming from the tunnel. That's American Werewolf in London. Mm-hmm. Nice to pay a little, homage to something that's in your genre. Mm-hmm. Here we got Mrs. Doubtfire. We got a little bit of Mrs. Kramer versus Kramer. We have puppets, and then we have evil spirits. Now, the one thing it did have going for it, no jump scares, which they didn't cheapen out and go with the jump scare.
They tried to be real, creepy about the scared factor in it. It wasn't jump scares, which was great because we were in a theater full of a lot of teenagers. Yes. And I wasn't up for the screaming.
Yeah, definitely. And, 2, there's a lot of plot holes in this movie.
Yeah.
So, in the beginning, and in a clip looking back after the wife's death, you see the daughter kind of talking to somebody.
Yes.
So I thought it's is the spirit been there already, or?
Yeah. See, at that point, and I'm not spoiling anything because it's in the trailer that the mom dies. But when they open the opening scene where she's talking to someone, I assumed that the mother was already dead at that point. I felt like they were opening up before her death and then they were going to show the death. But that's not what happened. So we don't know who she was talking to.
Yeah. And there's other holes too, the puppets. The puppets seemed like that was the direction that they were going to go at one point, where it's all right, the puppets are going to be possessed and we're going to attack people. They never really quite explained what was going on with those.
Yeah.
And then there was another borrowed character, a rip-off spirit that appeared that looks like Art the Clown from Terrifier that appears, and then they do nothing with him.
Yeah.
I was he's kind of cool. He kind of rips off Terrifier and also kind of rips off The Ring a little bit, but he shows up and then that's it.
Yeah. And I'm not going to spoil anything here, but as far as the puppets go, it felt like they were there before a certain something happens in the movie.
Yeah.
But why were they there? We don't know why the puppets were coming to life in their dreams or whatever it may be. And then, something happens and so then you can understand why certain puppets come to life, but why were they doing that all along? It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Even the whole scene with the attic, with her falling down, the first time I thought it was Insidious. Because we've seen this before.
Yeah.
So it's all right, maybe that's going to be the trigger that we see some things, but they just kind of introduced things, never really went anywhere with it. Mm-hmm. And this movie feels dated. They only went into production in 2018, they were out in 2020, but it feels so dated. If you've seen The Darkness and Darkness Falls, and the movie They, where there's creatures in the closet, this feels like a movie from that era of film in the early 2000s when we were getting bubblegum horror movies because horror was becoming popular again. We're just going to pump out any PG-13 film to get it out there so kids go to see it. This felt dated. Even the middle of the film had poppy alternative music that made no sense. He gets, one spoiler, he gets a job, right? And they kind of celebrate on a train ride home with some yellow lighting and alternative music. So it's what is going on in this film? Oh, boy.
And honestly, the best actor in the whole film was the little girl.
Yeah.
Jenny, played by Violet Shaw, who actually was also in Dr. Sleep. She played Violet in the opening sequence of Dr. Sleep. And she was just amazing. She's adorable. And she was spot on with her role. I mean, the way that she played everything, but she was really what the film had going for it.
I'll tell you this. Not only were story parts borrowed, but so were the actors. So we meet a guy in the middle of the film that looks like Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I mean, his head's the same way, mannerisms, even the look. You know how Joseph Gordon-Levitt kind of does that weird look with his eye. The lead actor reminded me of a young Ewan McGregor from...
I got more of an Ethan Hawke vibe from him. Yeah.
The Babysitter, which we didn't go into, which is another whole story in this movie. She reminded me of a sickly girl from that Dawson's Creek. What was her name? Kerry Russell?
Kerry Russell was not in Dawson's Creek.
Oh, whatever. Safe 90s pop, right? And 2000s pop. But she reminded me of like a sickly version of Kerry Russell. So even the characters, they seem to portray other characters that in films that we've seen before, maybe to make you feel a little familiar with the storyline.
You're thinking of Jenn Montgomery, who was played by Michelle Williams.
Oh, I don't know.
In Dawson's Creek. That's Heath Ledger's baby mama.
Oh, well, she definitely doesn't remind me of her. So, no, not her. Sickly Kerry Russell. That's what I'm going with.
Okay, she doesn't look like Kerry Russell at all. Don't listen to him. He's so bad at like trying to like.
She looks like somebody. That's the important part.
Yeah, when he tries to compare actors, it never works out.
I just don't know who, but she looks like somebody. Trust me on that. And when you see it, you'll see it, and then you'll mention in the comments who she looks like. But I'm gonna leave it at that. Really, you can't have a movie that just pulls from things, has plot holes, and just kind of goes all over the place. Even the end kind of changed the way the film style was done in the first 40 minutes of the film, where they started introducing some things to it. Just didn't make any sense. So, what's your rating?
Okay, so I'm actually going to change my rating.
Change your rating? They don't know what your original rating was.
Well, from what I told you.
Oh, okay.
Because I've had time to sit on it and mull it over. So originally I was going to give this movie a C. But now I'm going to give it a D+.
A D+?
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. I am going to have to say I agree with you 100%. This is definitely a D+. I hope my daughters don't see any trailers for this because I do not want to sit through this again and watch it. Not even to make fun of it. So that's where we lined up. So D+ from the both of us. Now, if you go and see these movies or this film, let us know what you think. Do you agree with us? Do you disagree with us? Does the one creature look like Art the Clown from Terrifier? Let us know what you think by putting that in the comments. And while you're also watching this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. It's free. Very free. And you'll see a bunch of new shows that are coming out other than Donna Jean's Coffee House of Horror interviews and our weekly movie reviews. But we have some stuff coming down the pipeline that you're going to like. Until then, we'll see you at the theater.
See ya. Bye.